Hello, everyone, and you're very welcome to this webinar. I should have mentioned earlier, I'm also joined by Dylan Payne from our admissions office, in addition to our staff and students here. So you're all very welcome to this presentation and webinar and discussion about the computing, digital and data programs here in TU Dublin. Our schedule, won't go through it in too much detail, but I'm going to start by just giving a broad overview of what we do in computing, digital and data here in TU Dublin. And then my colleagues are going to present on the computing programs in Blanchardstown, Grangegorman, Tallaght, the mathematics programs in Grangegorman. Then we're going to talk with our students and we'll have Q&A. So there's lots and lots of opportunities for you to both hear from us and then ask us questions. Please do put any questions that you have into the chat as we're going along, and there'll be lots and lots of time for us to discuss these questions later. Okay, the first thing that you need to know about us, that if you're interested in studying computing or mathematics with us here in TU Dublin, that we operate across 3 campuses. So we have a campus at Grangegorman, which is located just in the inner city in Dublin, city centre in Dublin, just to the north of the city centre. So to get from, say, the Spire to Grangegorman, you could walk up there reasonably quickly in about 15 minutes. We have our campus in Tallaght, which is in South Dublin. To get to Tallaght, you're onto the Lewis Red Line, and just at the end of the line, you're at our Tallaght campus. And then our Blanchardstown campus in West Dublin. There's lots and lots of bus routes that will bring you out to Blanchardstown. So our computing programs are located across these 3 campuses, and we have our mathematics programs in Grangegorman, and those are the ones that we'll be talking to you about today. So computing, digital and data at TU Dublin, we have lots of different programs, and you're going to hear about all of our programs here today, and you'll have lots of information up on the website about these programs. So we have lots and lots of really high quality programs. You might be interested in one particular program. So what we would encourage you to do from today or after today is, focus on the program that you're interested in, but also give consideration to all of the other programs as well, because there are lots of opportunities for you to study computing with us here in TU Dublin, not just one. We are one of Ireland's largest universities. We were the first technological university, and we're the largest of the technological universities. We have about 29,000 students across those 3 campuses that I mentioned where we're located, and then also Bolton Street and Ainger Street where we have engineering and business respectively. We're one of the largest departments for computing and mathematics in Ireland. So collectively we have about 2,700 students, a bit more actually at the moment. We've really state-of-the-art campuses, and you'll hear and see a little bit about our campuses later on in the presentation here today. But the Grangegorman campus, for example, is the newly built campus in Ireland. And a huge amount of money has been invested in developing this campus. And our campuses at Tallaght and Blanchardstown as well have been developed to a really, really high standard and offer an excellent student experience. The smaller classes, we just mentioned here, this is a kind of a defining characteristic of what we do and the way that we learn. We're very practically focused in TU Dublin. So when you come in to learn with us, you're going to spend an awful lot of time in computer laboratories, trying things out, doing things with your hands, sitting in a computer laboratory. So there's lots of practical focus on what you're doing. And in those practically focused labs, you're going to get to meet our staff, you're going to get to meet your fellow classmates in those smaller, more focused laboratory groups. We have lots of expert staff in all disciplines. There's staff within our faculty who are world leaders in their work in cybersecurity and machine learning and artificial intelligence and data science and all these fascinating areas. So you really are going to be taught by people who are at the forefront of their field, and it's a great opportunity for you to learn from these experts. We're very closely related to industry. We deal an awful lot with industry. We offer placements on almost all of our programs. And even some of our programs, more of our programs are introducing placement for next year. So that means that as part of your studies, you're going to leave us for a short while, go off into a company, and then come back with this hugely valuable experience. And that's what we do. We produce industry-ready graduates. There's huge demand for our graduates in industry. So why do people study computing, digital and data? You'll all have your own reasons why you're interested and why you've come along to the webinar today. For some people, they're interested in, a good, solid job with lots of career prospects, and certainly that's really, really important. Other people want to be able to travel the world and have skill sets that they can take with them. And again, computing would enable you to do that. But one thing I'd encourage you to think about today is this idea of creativity. because computing is very much about creativity. And unlike lots of other disciplines, the skill set that you'll develop means that you can turn an idea that you have into something that's really actually functioning. Like, for example, if you can think of any app that you wish was out there that somebody had developed, you're not just going to be putting together a design for an idea like that. You will have the skill set to make that a reality, to make that a real product by the end of your studies. So you're developing skills to meet, some of the biggest problems that we're going to face in the world, and to use technology to help solve those problems. So I would say, don't just think about computing as an opportunity to make lots of money. But if you do think about computing as an opportunity to make lots of money, there are certainly opportunities out there. And you'll be familiar, perhaps, with the fact that Ireland, and Dublin in particular, is seen as a global centre for the technology industry. You can see that 9 of the world's top 10 software companies have very strong presences, often their European bases, here in Dublin, or certainly in Ireland. A very substantial proportion of our exports coming from Ireland are related to the tech industry. And you can see on screen the number of companies involved, the number of people involved in this area. And like I said, industry placement and getting to connect with the industry is a really important part of our programs. We prepare you to work in this thriving industry. And it is a thriving industry, not just in Ireland, but globally. As part of your work, by the time you get to final year, you're going to do what we call a final year project. I'm not going to go into this in great detail, but just as an illustration, maybe of some of the ways that the students that we've had in our faculty have used their creativity to solve real problems. So you can see 3 of our students shown up on screen. And to take for one example, Deirdre Core's application that's shown there, that Deirdre came up with a solution that, a technology solution that would detect sleep apnea, which is a very serious condition that lots of people have. And ordinarily, to detect this, you would need to see a clinical professional. But using technology, Deirdre was able to develop a solution that could detect the presence of this particular condition and then indicate to someone that they should see a clinical professional. So this is an example, I suppose, of what I'm saying, of coming up with an idea, saying, wouldn't it be great if we had this, and then pulling together that huge skill set that you'll have developed over your studies to be able to solve these real and important problems and make the world a better place in doing so. So you'll hear a little bit from our students in a few moments, and one of the questions you may have is, well, what will I be doing in first year if I come to study in any of these computing, digital and data programs? So you might be interested just to know that, look, in first year, you're going to be doing a programming module. You're going to develop excellent programming skill sets throughout first year. Many of you will already have a programming background, and many of you won't have a programming background. And it doesn't matter either way, because a lot of what we spend our time on in first year is bringing you up to a really, really excellent and high level of programming ability. There will be mathematics, there'll be algorithms, and algorithms is where you're going to be designing the solutions to problems, and it might start out with something simple like an algorithm to sort a set of 10 numbers. So how do we take 10 numbers and organize them from lowest to highest or highest to lowest? But you might go from there to some far more complex algorithms and really involve that problem-solving mindset that you'll be developing over your studies. Communications is a part of what we do. As a computing professional, you're going to need to have the skill set, not just to work with your computer, but to work with other people. So developing that communication skill set is really important and something that we do work on from first year. And then obviously you'll have modules on things like computer architecture and operating systems, where you learn about memory management and file management and the way that processes are scheduled and how a computer operates at a very low level. And then you'll do wonderfully creative, engaging and artistic things in subjects like web development. So throughout first year, you're going to be doing all of these practical type of subjects. You're going to spend time in the computer laboratory, working with these things, working with your classmates to develop really important skill sets in these areas. But look, some people do struggle a little bit in first year, in particular, maybe coming into college, and they might struggle a little bit with their mathematics, or they might struggle with their computing subjects or whatever else. And it's important that you know the support that's available to you, not just from your lecturers, who will be a great support to you, and your fellow classmates, who will also be a great support to you. But we have drop-in centres that you can go into. So if, for example, you might struggle with your mathematics, we have a mathematics learning centre. You can make an appointment or drop in and just sit down and talk with someone who would be very well skilled in the area of mathematics, and then they'll help you through your mathematics. Similarly, we have a computing learning center. And again, if you've any problems with your computing modules, you can drop into the computing learning center. You can set up a one-to-one tutorial and someone will be there to help you with that. And I've just included the quote from the student. They're a student who went to the computing learning center who spoke about their mentor being amazing and how in every session they learned something new. So it's never a problem if you find something very difficult in your class. There's always somebody there to help you. Okay, so I'm going to hand over now to my colleague Christina Thorpe, and Christina is going to talk to you about the programs that we have in Blanchardstown. After that, we'll hear from Susan McKeever, who's going to talk to you about our computing programs in Grangegorman, then Patricia McGee, who'll talk to you about our computing programs in Tallaght, and Carl Sullivan, who'll talk to you about our mathematics programs in Grangegorman. So over to you, Christina, and just let me know when you want me to push the slide along.
Sure, thanks, Kieran. Hi, everyone. Lovely to meet you all. So I'll just talk a bit about the computing programs that we have in Blanchardstown. So I won't be going into a whole pile of detail, but I'll give you like a high-level view of what we do. We have 2 level 8 programs. One is in general computing, and the other is in forensics and cybersecurity. So actually, we're currently reviewing these and they're being updated. So if you guys are joining us in September 24, you're very lucky because these are right at the cutting edge of where they need to be for today. So the points are just over 300 points last year. So 302 for computing and 320 for cybersecurity. We also have 2 level 7 programs, again, one in computing, one in cyber, and these are actually co-delivered. So level 7 students, which are the 3-year program, will be in the classroom with level 8 students, which is the 4-year programs. And at the end of that 3 years, you would have the choice to continue on with your studies, so transfer into the level 8 if you wish to do that. We also have a level 6 higher cert in computing, which is really all around networking technologies. And this is direct entry, so it's not available on the CAO currently. So you can go ahead, Kieran. Okay, so our computing degree and our cybersecurity degree, both the level 7 and the level 8, they have a common year 1. And that's good because we know that sometimes it's difficult to make up your mind for sure about what you want to do and what you want to specialize in when you're 17 or 18 and you're filling out that CAO. So you come in, you do a common year 1, and at the end of that year 1, you can transfer between programs. So if you're doing general computing, you could transfer to cybersecurity. If you're doing cybersecurity, you could transfer into general computing. So that option, that flexibility is there. We also have a work placement or an industry-based group project in year 3. So in your second semester in year 3, you can either go out into industry for 3 to 6 months, or you can work on a group project with some of your classmates and stay based in the college. All of our programs, so Kieran did mention this, but all of our programs are very applied. So that means you're doing lots of practical stuff in the labs. All of our modules, which are basically our subjects, have lectures, but they also have labs. So you will be in the lab, you'll be working with tools, you'll be working with hardware, you'll be working with, networking equipment, making cables, all of that kind of stuff. So we're not just teaching you theory, we're teaching you the skills and how to do these things in practice as well. So we also have lots of choice in later years in our programs. So we have multiple elective streams on both the computing and on the cybersecurity programs. So on computing, we can see on the left, you could do web and mobile development. You could specialize in AI and data science. You could specialize in digital realities, or you could specialize in high performance computing. So you do have a choice as you get to those later years of the program, what you want to specialize in. In cyber, we have various different streams, and you would pick more than one of these streams. So you could do penetration testing, incident response, forensic analysis, compliance analysis, and security engineer. So there's lots of options, and you get to choose which streams you want to focus on in your 4th year. All of our students will also have the opportunity to go on a Erasmus year, where you would go to a different university in Europe and you would study there for a semester or 2. We do lots of things. So obviously the academic side of things is very important. And, you know, all of our theory and all of our practical stuff is always up to date, and it's very engaging and it's interesting. But we do stuff outside of the classroom too, for social reasons, but also to allow you to hone your skills. So we do lots of capture the flag events, and these are competitions where you can compete individually or you can compete in a team, and you would solve challenges to earn points. And it's essentially a competition, but it's very fun. We do these at least once or twice a year in-house, and then we do a big national, it's actually international event once a year. We also do field trips to industry. So in your later years, we would bring you out into companies and we get you to see what it's all about. What do they do? Have a look around their operations and speak to their staff and really learn about the various roles that are available to you. So that's really for the later years of your program. We always bring in expert guest speakers, you know, people who are practitioners in various areas in your discipline, where you get to learn from people who are actually doing the job day to day. We also, one of our members of staff is the coach and the selector for the Irish European Cybersecurity Challenge team. So you could compete for Ireland in these challenges. It's a European competition, it's an annual thing. And so you get to train, you get to travel, and then you get to compete for Ireland, which is a great honour, really. We also have a new state-of-the-art security operations centre on our campus. I'll show you pictures of that in a minute, but it is top of the range infrastructure and facilities where you get to go and actually see and do what you might be doing in industry. And this is also going to be an interface between our school and industry. So there will be opportunities as that grows to work or collaborate more with industry as well. We have various partnerships with lots of big companies in Ireland. So Workday, for example, Orange Telecoms, Microsoft, and Zero Day Cybersecurity. So we've lots of ongoing projects with those companies. Kieran, you can go ahead. So what we have on this slide is just a couple of word clouds showing where our graduates are being employed. So the one on the left is our cyber security graduates. So you can see they're in lots of the big companies in Ireland. Some of them are dedicated cyber companies, but others are just big companies that need their own cybersecurity department. So the opportunities are plentiful, and you can really go anywhere and into any kind of sector in Ireland because they all need cyber. And then on the right, you can see where our computing graduates go. So again, lots of big multinational companies who have headquarters in Ireland or have a presence in Ireland, and lots of our graduates are hired by them. So very in-demand graduates, very well equipped to get into industry and start doing the job immediately. At the bottom, you can see a couple of QR codes. The one on the left is our LinkedIn page. So that's the best place. If you follow us on LinkedIn, you will get a sense of what we do in the school, all of our activities, what we're involved in, and so on. It's a really nice way to keep track and to kind of suss us out to see if it's something that you would like to get involved with. And then the one on the right is just a video of our computing degree. So if you want to learn more about the computing degree, you can see the head of discipline talking about that degree on that video. You could also Google the cybersecurity one, but I'm delivering that video and I would never give the link to anybody because I'm not proud of it. But it's a bit old, it's a bit dated, but it will give you a sense of what kind of subjects you might be doing in the cybersecurity degree. And then finally, Kieran, last slide. Yeah, these are just some images of our campus. So the Blanchardstown campus is in West Dublin, so Northwest Dublin. We've a lovely campus. It's small enough to be very friendly, but big enough to be interesting. So it's a really nice, lots of green spaces. We've good sports facilities, parking, gym, and you can see on the right-hand side of that slide is the new collaboratory where you guys would get to do some of your practical exercises. And that's it.
Thanks very much. And thanks very much, Christina. And I think we all want to see that video now. So,
don't Google it.
I'll pass it over now to Susan McKeever, who is the head of AI and data science from our School of Computer Science. Thanks.
Hi, everybody. I was nearly going to ask, is that a swimming pool on the previous slide? But I think it was a blue section. Listen, it's really nice to meet everybody on the call today, and thank you so much for joining. So just to give a bit of context, I'm going to explain the programs that we offer from our Grangegorman campus in the city centre. I'll come back to the campus details in a minute. Kieran has covered some of that already, but I'll go through the programs first. So there's the 4 of them that's listed on the slide there are the 4 undergraduate full-time programs that we offer. So I'm going to start with the first one, TU 850. That's a brand new program we're putting on this year, which starts in September. It's up in the CAO, and it's based on the sheer demand that's coming in from industry around the area of data science and AI. It is now time for us to actually put on a dedicated program. So going into that program in a bit more detail, the first year of the program covers a lot of the computer science fundamentals, so you have the bread and butter skills, and then we go deeper into the skills that are needed by people who are going to specialize in data science and AI, all about machine learning and how to use data to do intelligent stuff, and right into the absolute state-of-the-art areas that you're hearing all the time about in the news and in what you're reading and in what you're using on your phone and so on. So very exciting new program, and there's big demand for that already. Okay, so moving then on to our sort of flagship computer science course, TU 856, computer science. That's on 485 points from last year. That's core computer science. It has a lot of overlap with the 2 programs underneath, which are also computer science, but they're slightly more specialist. So the BSc in computer science is core with a little bit of a focus on the software engineering. You have to give it its specialism. But when you move down into the TU 857, that's the BSc computer science infrastructure, it has about 70 to 80% overlap with the computer science degree, but it has a component of it which is about networks and infrastructure that's more emphasized than in the main computer science degree. Okay, and moving down to the bottom of the chart there, the 858 BSc Honours Computer Science International, that is an emphasis on the international aspect. You cover a language, which would be German or Chinese or Korean. We have been expanding that in recent years. And that also includes travel abroad in 3rd year. And I'll explain about the travel abroad in a moment. But in terms of sort of culture and aspects of that degree, it's about bringing in international elements in combination with computer science. So just to summarise here, the CAO points are shown on the right-hand side. We don't know what they're going to be yet for TU 850 because we don't have last year's CAO points. It's brand new. And that's completely set by demand. But the other courses are shown there. We expect them to be in and around the same for this year. They are pretty much reasonably constant through the years. And that's where they're at the moment. So, Kieran, I'll move on to the next slide. Okay, so just to give you a feeling, I don't want to repeat too much of what Kieran and Christina have already explained, but some of the things that are completely standard in our undergraduates. We have industry work placements available to whoever wants them in 3rd year. It's a very popular option to take that in semester 2 of 3rd year. We work with between 60 and 70 companies every year making placements, all the big tech firms, also down through the medium and smaller enterprises. We also, if you decide not to do an industry work placement, you can also take an Erasmus option in 3rd year for either 6 months for the 3 degrees or for 12 months if you're on the international. We've got agreements in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Italy, Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Spain, etc. You can read it on the slide there, through to China, Canada and the US as travel options in 3rd year. We have some very good other 3rd year paths around business entrepreneurship and global innovation. But our overall theme on our programs is we keep them cutting edge. We have major expertise here. Our staff are, to the vast majority, PhD educated. We have specialisms in research. We're very tightly linked into industry. I get the same employers coming back to me every year saying, please keep going with the great productions of high quality grads, because they staff almost exclusively from TU Dublin, and they're so delighted with our graduates. And it's a real accolade to our programs that we do so well in industry on the demand, the repeat demand from employers, and it's something that we're really proud of. So it's a culture that we keep by our links with industry and our focus on programs that are really cutting edge, up to date. We update them every year in terms of making sure that we are teaching and bringing our students along on the latest stuff. Okay, so just moving on to the last slide, Kieran. Yeah, okay, so the campus itself, I see probably a lot of you have already been on the campus, the Grangegorman campus, which is in the city centre up between sort of Stoneybatter, Smithfield. It's a sort of instant old campus. It's got a very historic origination as a campus that was revamped and when we started to move over to here 5 years ago. It's really beautiful, and it's mixed in with beautiful state-of-the-art new buildings, which I'm currently sitting in at the moment. And it's a great vibe and campus feel, for which we're really proud of, to be able to have got this lovely campus combining our different city centre places when we all moved to this campus 5 years ago. So it's loads of facilities on tap on the campus, and loads of local facilities as well, by virtue of where we're situated in the city. And if you haven't been up here and you are thinking of coming to either Grangegorman or Tallaght or Blanchardstown, it would be great for you to get a campus tour, and we're happy to bring you on to that at any time. Or you can go on our virtual campus tours either. Okay, so that's it. Happy to answer any questions at the end, and I'll switch you back to Kieran.
Thanks very much, Susan, for that. And I'll hand you over now to Patricia McGee, who's from our Tallaght campus. And so over to you, Patricia.
Thanks, Kieran. So my name is Patricia McGee. I'm a lecturer in the School of Enterprise Computing and Digital Transformation on the Tallaght campus. So as part of the suite of computing programs in TU Dublin, the programs shown on the slide there are what we offer on the Tallaght campus. So there's a range of level 6, level 7 and level 8 programs. Just looking at the BSc Honours there in computing, so TU 859, you'll see the points there from last year, 238. There are a few kind of routes or pathways through this programme. So you may come on through the CAO onto that 4-year programme. That's your first option. Your second one then is where you may come in on the BSc Computing, which is TU 756. And then on successful completion of the 3 years on that programme, then you'll be able to progress then onto year 4. Okay, so there's kind of always options. So you may apply for the honours, depending on points or whatever. If you don't get a place on the honours, but you end up at a place on the general degree, it doesn't mean that you can't reach that honours degree at the end of the day. So I mean, 3 successful years then will get you a place into year 4 on the honours degree. Similarly with the cert, cert is a level 6. That's just 2 years, 2 years in duration. And again, successful completion of that, you can progress then onto year 3 and then indeed onto year 4 then as well. So we offer then 2 other honours programs. So we have the computing with AI and machine learning, and then also the honours degree in cloud computing. Okay, so they're kind of really specializations which you will come across kind of when you get into year 3 on the program. That's where you start really seeing the difference, and where you're getting more of a deeper knowledge into some of the more specialist areas within the particular field of study that you've chosen. So really, regardless of, you know, in terms of what programs you come in on, there's options to transfer kind of between them. You know, so you could come in on the general degree, and then in year 3, you know, maybe you have some interest then in transferring over to something like cloud computing. That is something that's available to you. So at the start of every academic year, we run an induction program with each of the years. And, you know, specifically for year 3, we look at choices, and we look at degree choices and specializations and all that kind of stuff. So the year tutors are available. They meet with you during the week of induction, and take you through the process if you did want to look then at doing a transfer from one program to another. I mean, all it's based on really is kind of that you have the particular prerequisite modules done in the years leading up to that. So Kieran, you can move on there. Thank you. So yeah, so as the other kind of presenters have mentioned, work placement kind of runs through all the different, kind of a lot of the different programs across all the campuses. And similarly for ourselves, we have well, it's at least kind of a 6-month placement. Takes place in year 3. Students go out in January. They usually work through in a company until June, or indeed some of those placements then they can run then for July and August as well, just depending on the length of the internship that is offered by the company. You'll see some of the companies I've listed there: Amazon, Workday, Yahoo, MasterCard. So that's really some of where our students are placed. In terms of the roles the students end up doing during the work placement period, it can be in development, it can be in analysis, it could be in databases or networking. Again, that may depend then on kind of the specialization that you've chosen for your degree, and in terms of what modules in particular you've covered in the first semester of year 3. But always very kind of rewarding, the experience. Students certainly do come back with a great range of skills, and in particular great communication skills as well, that they come across on the internship, the work placement. The industry is quite strong at the moment in terms of work placement, so a high percentage of our students do go out on work placement. For those that maybe for one reason or another don't, we have an on-campus internship program that we run. So that's kind of well supported by staff, and you have a mix of kind of tasks and modules that you go through, hands-on work, practical work as part of that. We also then run kind of a project mentoring program in year 4. So year 4 kind of has a major project which runs for both semesters, and we kind of have partnerships with, again, some key IT companies, okay, where they kind of spec some typical kind of projects for students, and the student ends up kind of working 1 day per week on the company site, and they have a mentor in the company, and also then an academic supervisor as well. So that kind of type of project, again, it provides kind of invaluable experience to the student, and it can then open up a door for possible kind of career opportunities then within that company then when they graduate. Finally, then, just, we do kind of try to have kind of some cross-campus activities, and have a little bit of fun along the way when you're with us as a student. So just one example I have there is kind of, we have been running an annual health hackathon. It took place last September. That was the 3rd one. And the students from computing students from Blanchardstown City and Tallaght campuses, they came together, and they were working on challenges that had been set by the clinicians that work in the hospital in Tallaght University Hospital. So that event was run kind of in association with the hospital, and then it was also supported by Amazon Web Services. So the great kind of thing about those kind of events is that students from all years and all campuses can participate, and would always encourage students to keep an eye out for events like that, because they offer sort of a good social experience kind of outside of the normal kind of academic timetable that we tend to kind of sometimes focus heavily on as well. Okay, so that's me done. Thanks, Kieran. Back to you.
Thanks very much for that, Patricia. And now next we have Carl Sullivan from the School of Mathematics and Statistics, who's going to talk about the mathematics program that we offer in Grangegorman. So over to you, Carl, please.
Hello, so my name is Dr. Carl Sullivan. I'm from the School of Mathematics and Statistics, and just in the chat box, hopefully if this pastes correctly, is a link to our school webpage. Now on that link, if you click on current students, you'll be able to see a really detailed course outline regarding TU 874. So I guess it's a level 8, it's a 4-year degree. I guess in one way, it's very similar to the other modules that, or to the other degrees that my colleagues in TU Dublin have been talking about. But just to explain a little bit why or how our course is different to degrees in maths that are done maybe in other colleges or universities in Ireland, is that we have work placement. And so in third year, if you so choose, you can be placed by us. And so let's say the current lot, and I've been visiting them, they're in places like Davy, they're in Zurich, and they're in New Ireland. We also have an option to do Erasmus, and so some of our students are in Stuttgart Hochschule. So I guess to me that's a very important aspect, or how we differentiate from the other colleges with regard to our degree, which is we have this work placement. With regard to the topics we cover, obviously it's very similar to other degrees in maths. We cover calculus, mechanics, linear algebra, statistics, geometry, group theory, mathematical modeling. So that's very similar. Maybe the little differences are things like you get professional development as part of your degree in maths. So basically what that means is you'll be trained how to do an interview, what type of questions you'll get. You know, the career guidance is embedded in the actual maths course. So, you know, all of that is maybe more emphasized within this degree than you would get, let's say, if you're trying to do a similar degree outside of TU Dublin. So that I feel is a big selling point. And we do things like Linux, SQL, we'll teach a Word, we'll teach a PowerPoint and Excel, all of that to ensure, you know, that you could get I guess, you get a broad base, that you perform well in interviews, and that you get the desired skills, you know, to get a job where you want to get a job. So you get this broad base. So a lot of the students would go into financial services. Obviously, if you have a company, you'll have data, and we do a lot of statistics courses. So it'll be very common for people to go on and do data analysis. I mean, there are students who've gone on into software programming, who are working in the AI industry, who I'm in contact with, and all the rest. So it's a broad-based sort of degree with work placement, and you should definitely check out our website. So I guess that sort of summarizes very briefly everything I have. Obviously, I'll address any questions, and hopefully that's okay.
That's brilliant, Carl. Thanks very much. And thanks to Patricia and to Susan and to Christina as well. I will just remind people, anyone who's in the room, if you want to ask any questions, please put it into chat, or if you're willing to go on screen and be in our recording, you can put your hand up and you can talk to the room. But now we're very lucky to be joined by three celebrities. These three celebrities are three students. So we have Moses McKinday, who's from our Blanchardstown campus. So Moses, thanks for coming along. We have Marco Nocerino, who's from our Tallaght campus, and thank you, Marco. And we have Sarah Egan, who's from our Grangegorman campus, and thanks very much, Sarah. So our three students are on screen. So any questions that you have for students, they have promised to be completely honest. So please put the questions into chat or put your hand up, and you can ask them anything that you want. But I'm just going to start by asking them just to tell us a little bit about their experience in TU Dublin. So who would like to go first on that? Sarah, you're on the left-hand side of my screen. So if you don't mind going first.
Right, we'll start here. Thanks, Kieran. My name is Sarah, and I'm in my final year of the Computer Science International course on the Grangegorman campus. So I guess my experience of the course has been absolutely amazing. I started this degree with no experience in computer science whatsoever. I had no programming knowledge, no web development knowledge. I started just with the interest in knowing how to do it. And to be completely honest with you, that's all you need. You just need a desire to learn and just want to know how things work with computers and computer science. And the lecturers here will do everything in their ability to help you succeed, and so will your peers and all the support systems that they have at TU Dublin, which is what I find particularly excellent. they really start from the ground up. So, you know, it might start a little slow if you do have experience, but it gets quite challenging quite fast. But with all the support that they have available, you'll be well able to keep up. But yeah, I'll pass on to Marco and Moses to let them introduce themselves.
Thanks, Sarah. Marco, would you like to go next?
Yeah, so I'm a second year student in Tallaght. So I completed my 2 years in Tallaght, and I think my experience has been amazing so far. One of the best things that I think about the course in Tallaght is the practical aspect. So I think since first year we've done 5 projects, and then in second year we have a semester-long project. So you really get to try things out. It's been very good. So yeah, I think that's a brief for Tallaght.
Okay, thanks, Marco. And Moses, please, you tell us.
Yeah.
Moses had an exam today, so thanks very much, Moses, for coming along.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Very, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm Moses. I'm a final year student in Blanchardstown, and I'm studying just general computing. And I would say the experience has been great. Coming into college, I didn't know what I was wanting to do. I actually got into college with the available places sort of route, and I came in with the 3 years. So last year I actually finished with my general degree, and I just said, why not go for the extra year since it's been so good to me the past 3 years. So I just done the extra year and I'm finishing up now. But I would say, yeah, the course itself is great. It's very, very, very practical with very good lecturers on board to help classmates, peers. Everyone's so interactive with each other. And the environment of the college itself is very good. There's lots of help, student services, everything is available to students.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks to the three of you for that. I know there's a bunch of questions coming in, and my colleagues are responding to those. And just while they're being responded to, I might just ask another question of our three celebrities here. What are you hoping to do once you graduate? How do you see yourself moving on into your careers? And Sarah, I might go back to you first, if that's okay.
Yeah, brilliant. So obviously I'm in my final year at the moment, so that's the burning question that we all have. But the absolutely best thing about TU Dublin is their industry companions. I've had 2 job offers already, and I haven't even set foot out of the university, and that's because of the project fair that you're able to do in final year. I got several job offers at that, and so did a lot of my peers as well. So I have the great choice between multiple jobs. Some of them are quite random. One of them is marketing. So, like as Kieran said earlier, if you have a computer science degree or a computing degree, you have the skills that most industries look for. So you can go and do whatever you want. But I think for me personally, I'll be moving into a software engineering role with Bearing Point. So that's what I'm going into.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Sarah. And Marco?
Yeah, so the course really has loads of modules. It goes from databases to web technology. So like in this moment, I kind of feel like I could get into different things. I was very lucky to get an internship already for this summer. So I'll be joining Fidelity Investment for their innovation team. Through my 2 years, I've done loads of projects, loads of coding competitions, and loads of hackathons. And those have really helped me to show different skills, also in the innovation aspect. So yeah, there's literally loads of choices there you guys could get into. So it could be software development, it could be into database administrators. So at the moment, I think I will stick to software development and trying to create things is like the thing that I like the most. Yeah.
Brilliant, Marco. And Moses, just tell us a little bit about where you see yourself going with your degree.
Yeah, I would say just from like with being going to TU Dublin, I'd say that they have you equipped with everything you need, whether it be web development, software development, working in teams. So with the course itself, we're all well rounded with everything, with all the aspects of computing. So for myself individually, I would like to go into more software testing and things of that nature. As I have had my final project, we've just been doing tests, and I've sort of liked that sort of thing. So I'd like to go into that in the future.
Brilliant. Thanks, Moses, for that. I know again there's lots of questions going on in the chat, and my colleagues are responding, which is great. And we will get a chance just in a little while to speak about a few of them. So I might just ask our students again, what's the student life like in TU Dublin? You know, including, you know, the commute or accommodation, depending on where you're staying, or the social life and clubs and socks and things like that. Would you have any experience or anything you'd be happy to share about that? And I'll keep going in the same order. So Sarah, you're first, if that's okay.
Yep, brilliant. So obviously I'm on the Grangegorman campus, which is in city centre, and I commute from about an hour away. I live very far outside of Dublin, but just because of the location of the Grangegorman campus, there's a ton of options to actually get to the university. So luckily I didn't have to buy any accommodation. I've just been able to commute. But in terms of social life, again, because you're in the city centre, there's a student bar a 10-minute walk, not even 10 minutes, about a 2-minute walk away from campus. So generally after an assessment or, you know, on a Friday, you and your classmates will all be able to go have a few pints, or also just go to any of the facilities that are in the area around Grangegorman. But the community itself is absolutely excellent. The societies and clubs are a really great way to kind of diversify yourself with students that aren't in the computer science degree. But there's a really good sense of community in TU Dublin, and especially in the computer science degree. These are all interested in the same thing, and everyone's just excited to help each other out and to hang out and enjoy the stuff we all enjoy. But I'll pass over to Marco now.
Thanks, Sarah. Marco?
Yeah, so I think Sarah mentioned a lot of things like societies. We in Tallaght have a computer science society that I'm currently the chairperson, and also for next year. So if you guys will be joining us, you might as well join the computer science society. We organize weekly events. So for everybody who likes tech, we have loads of students that are not in the computing degree, they're studying business and other things. So we have fun every week. We play games, you know, things that people in tech really like. And also, just to mention, there's different communities in TU Dublin. So as you know, we have 30,000 students, so there's different communities. Currently, the International Student Officer for the Student Union, and I just saw a few questions there about the international student experience as well. So I'm an international student myself. So there's weekly lunches and weekly breakfast that we organize for international students. Also, finding accommodation might be the hardest thing as an international student, especially in Dublin. But you know, it really depends on budget and things like that. So you could either go to student accommodation buildings. There's loads of them in Dublin, or you can go in digs and you know, house families and things like that. So yeah, there's really different options in Dublin, but there's a space for everybody, even though right now we are in a housing crisis and things like that. But yeah, so there's loads of societies, and even though you're a student in Tallaght or in Grange or in Blanch, you can join any other campus society, and you can go to different campuses. So you'll get in the 4 years experience all the different campuses. So yeah, I'll pass it over now to Moses.
Thanks, Marco. Yeah, Moses, please.
Yeah, I would say the Blanchardstown campus, a key thing would be the location of where it is. It's literally, I say, a 10-15 minute walk away from the Blanchardstown Centre, which is one of the biggest shopping centres in Dublin. So with that being said, there's a lot of transport option, Dublin bus, and there's a bus from the college itself that takes students to the Blanchardstown Centre. So, and for clubs and societies, there's lots of clubs and societies. Me, myself, I joined the sports ones. And the campus itself is just very diverse. There's many different people and many sort of different teams and societies that you can join and you can fit in.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Moses. I see there's loads of questions, and I think they're all getting answered. I'll just ask my colleagues, is there anything that you would like to speak about in terms of the questions that have come in relation to your own programs?
I was thinking, Karen, that it might be useful to call the answers out to the questions, because I think that while people might be reading the chat, not everybody will be, and it might be nice for people on the call to hear the answers.
Okay. I'll read down through the questions then, and yeah, whoever would like to hop in. So I think I'll start with, if we meet the requirements for level 7, what are the chances of us being accepted for a space in college? So Patricia or Christina, I know the level 7 programs are in your schools. Do you want to say anything about that?
So
or Dylan?
The
maybe?
question is if they meet the minimum entry requirements, and then it will just be dependent on the points. So obviously the points is related to demand. So it's hard to say. You just have to meet the minimum entry requirements and the points, and then the chances are good.
Yeah. I suppose just on that, I suppose, as I mentioned earlier in my kind of presentation about the level 7 and the level 6 and the level 8 and so on, is that if there's a level 6 available as well, for students to make sure that you list it as well. You know, you, of course, you may want, you know, the level 7 and the level 8, but you can still get that if you see that there's a level 6. Certainly, if you're looking at options for Tallaght, is make sure to list them all, is what we'd say, you know.
Yeah, we'd certainly encourage you to apply for as many programs as you can in TU Dublin. We do have lots of programs at lots of levels and lots of campuses, but you do have 20 options between the two lists, the level 8 and the level 6-7. So we'd certainly encourage you to fill in as many options as you can. Next question, could you talk more about the computing with machine learning and AI? And I know there was a few follow-ups on that. Patricia, that program is in your school?
Yeah, I just kind of put there, like, I mean, again, machine learning and AI, in terms of module specific or subject specific content for that, you will see that in year 3. Okay, so there will be some kind of mandatory modules when you are on that particular program. Okay, so you'll have data analysis will be a mandatory module. You'll have big data technologies will be another mandatory, probably a bit of server side development as well would be another mandatory one in year 3, and they'll be done that first semester, okay, before you head out then on your work placement. So I just put in the list, the link to that program code. So if you follow that link, you can go into year 3 and you'll see the list just of the mandatory modules, and there's links then on those individual modules then where you can see a little bit more kind of information as regards the content.
Okay, that's brilliant.
Kieran, I might come in on that one just because of the overlap, and I understand this is probably confusing for students, but on the ML and AI space, we also have a sort of full specialist module, or a specialist program rather, the new one that's starting this term in the Grangegorman campus, which is a BSc in data science and AI. And that's, while in first year you're covering the sort of fundamentals of computer science, you're doing a very wide broad of AI and data science right throughout the program. So it's a sort of dedicated specialist program in that space to fulfill the demand that's come in for it. So it's just I can see how the sort of overlap might be confusing to the students.
Okay, thanks very much, Susan. Sven was next. Sven, you're super organized, gave us a long list of questions. And I think Susan may have responded to you already, but just to quickly go through these. If you're in a degree program, is this campus bound, or do you change campuses for different modules? Currently, all our programs are just delivered on a single campus. So you'll have seen in the presentation the programs that we have in each of the 3 different campuses. So it's not a requirement to move between campuses for different parts of your program. What should we do if we can't find accommodation? I definitely refer you to the webpage for accommodation on the TU Dublin website. Dylan, I'm not sure if you have any additional information or advice with respect to accommodation, but we do have advice up on the website, and I direct people towards that.
I wouldn't have a huge amount of advice other than what you've already given. The only thing I would say is to get onto them as early as possible. Once you sort of have a good idea that you're going to get into TU Dublin, is to contact them as soon as possible. No matter where you're trying to get accommodation in Ireland at the moment, it's going to be competitive, and the earlier you do it, the more likely you are to secure it. So that would be the only really advice I'd have other than contacting the accommodation team.
Absolutely. Is attendance compulsory in modules? No, it's not compulsory, but I might just ask our students to make a comment on this, because what would you advise in terms of attendance for students, in terms of student success?
Attend your lectures. They aren't always mandatory, but like, honestly, the lecturers are so passionate about what they teach. I promise you they're not boring, and they benefit you more than anything else. And the lecturers in TU Dublin, they really welcome questions. It's a super engaging lecture. You're not just sat there in a room of 200 people kind of disappearing in the room. They engage you with the lectures. So I promise they're more interesting than secondary school and whatever you've had in the past.
Oh, I hope there's no secondary school teachers listening. And
Own
Marco
experience.
and Moses, would you agree with Sarah's view on that?
Yeah, 100%. I think if you attend your lectures, you do kind of 80% of the work. So it's really, once you're attending your lectures, you're really very set for your exams and your CAs. So yeah, it's like almost 80% if you're attending your lectures.
Yeah, I'd
Right.
agree. So like just attending the lectures and labs, that alone could possibly just bring you probably to a 40. Then the rest is just your individual work, external work to study CAs, and so all you have to do is attend, literally. Show up.
Yeah. Really, really good advice and very important. How often can I be absent due to illness? There is a process. If you are ill, you can submit a form with medical certification. There are health centres on each of the campuses as well. Where can I buy a bicycle? There's a good question. Do any of our students own bicycles?
I don't.
I don't either, but there's a very good rent services of bikes in Dublin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Good
And
question.
they have the bike stalls like at Grangegorman as well, like at 2 different areas. So like just being in the city centre, there's loads of bikes there, and there is loads of bike shops as well. Like you won't be stuck.
Yeah, and I guess within the student community, there are ways to get messages out as well. If you're looking for something, just talk to your classmates and get the word out. Is there a student office where you can buy things from students? Oh, well, that's a similar kind of thing. And where can I buy course books? I will say about books, we do have lots of libraries on each of our campuses, so I'd certainly encourage you to use the library. But students, would you have any advice on best place to buy books?
I'll let you go, Marco.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, I think most of the resources you will need are published on the Brightspace and Moodle. So most of our lectures release their PowerPoint slides, so things that you might need. Yeah, as Kieran said, we also have libraries. So if you want to have like extra resources, the libraries provide books that you can just borrow for free for as long as you want. So, yeah.
And ebooks as well, yeah, because I see that's the next question, that there's lots of electronic resources available through the library. Yeah. How good is the public transportation network, and is it easy to get to the campuses from one another? Again, I think our students spoke a little bit about that, but unless you have anything further to add, like we are a capital city, we're a city of 1.2 million people, we do have a pretty good transportation network.
Yeah, you won't need to be navigating between the campuses quite regularly either. Your courses will be on one campus. The only reason you'd be going to Tallaght or Blanchardstown or the alternative campus is if you have a society or club meeting there, you're meeting friends. But you'll be mainly going to where your classes are.
Marco, you have your hand up there as well.
Yeah, just wanted to add one little thing about the Erasmus community as well in TU Dublin. It's very, very strong. We have an Erasmus society, so you will get the chance to see loads of places in Ireland as well. And as I mentioned before, there's also weekly events that we run for international students where you can meet and have a free lunch and just talk to the other students. Probably you will meet some other students from Germany as well. So yeah, I just wanted to add that.
Okay, excellent.
Just
Dylan,
on the
yes.
transport links, Grangegorman might be the best accessed public transport campus for any university in the country. It has 2 Lewis lines to go there. Any bus that goes through this part of town will go near Grangegorman. You have Connolly Station, which you can take the Red Line Lewis to, and so Houston Station and Groombridge Station are all walkable to the campus as well. So it's a huge infrastructure project around Grangegorman, so it's really easy to get to. Tallaght, I know, has a Lewis as well, and there's tons of buses to go out to Tallaght as well. I'm not 100% sure on the Blanchardstown, but as Moses was talking about, there is a shuttle bus from the Blanchardstown shopping center, so and that goes about every half an hour, I believe, so that's also well provided for as well.
Yeah, with Blanchardstown, I'd say there's the bus 38, Dublin bus 38, which goes from Blanchardstown, Cordoff directly to town. So that would link from the college to town. Then from the Blanchardstown Centre, you can go anywhere from, I think you can even go to Tallaght there's a new bus as well from Blanchardstown Centre that goes straight to Tallaght. Then from wherever you need to go, where if it's town with the 39 or wherever you need to go. So the Blanchardstown Centre, that's the best hub for transportation, which is 10 minutes away from the college.
And if it would take a second bus, but you can also get into Clonsilla station as well and get a bus up to Blanchardstown Shopping Centre from there. If that is you're coming from Maynooth or something like that, you could take that route as well to Blanchardstown.
Fabulous. Thanks to you all for that. I know we're a little over time. If people don't mind staying around for a few minutes, we'll just go through the remaining questions. How does TU Dublin coordinate and manage the repetition of lectures across its campuses to ensure consistency and quality of education? We're very lucky to have excellent lecturers in all of our campus locations, and our degrees are all really, really high quality. So we've no concerns in that regard. All of our staff work really, really hard to make sure that you do have a high quality education. Joseph, are there many spaces in the computing modules for mature students? Certainly there are. Yeah, we never fill all of the spaces for mature students, so we definitely encourage people to apply. There are supports available for mature students as well. Dylan, I'm not sure if you have any information about the application process for mature students that you could share.
Yeah, it's through the CAO as well, and it's ultimately comes down to the head of that course, whether you meet the requirements for it. So my recommendation is always to contact whoever's on the contact section for the course page and talk to them about what you need to have done. It's all to do with sort of things like your educational experience and maybe your work experience as well. Will sort of show enthusiasm about getting into that course, basically, because it is sort of an application based on how the lecturer feels if you can pass it or not. So that's really my advice for that.
And the time frame is that's the follow-up part. They come out in round zero offers, isn't that right? Which come out in July, I think, is that right?
Yeah, so effectively, for anyone who doesn't know how the CAO system works, the Leaving Cert students will be in what's called round 1, and then round 2, 3, 4, all the way down to round 6. It depends on the university when they stop doing them. But any other students will come out in a different round before the Leaving Cert. So the mature students actually come in earlier before that. So that's all during the summer as well.
Right, and Christina, you have your hand up there.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to make the point that when I'm assessing mature applications, I'd always particularly pay attention to the personal statement. So please put some effort into your personal statement, because that does count for a mature application.
Okay, thanks very much, Christina. We have a question. I want to know more about the computer science infrastructure course and the reasons for choosing this over the general computer science option at Grangegorman. I think, Susan, you dealt with some of that, but do you want to add a little more?
Yeah, it's easy enough to answer. It overlaps about 80% of modules with the computer science, the core computer science program. So that's the first thing. The main difference is that we have modules on the infrastructure course related to infrastructure, which would be modules on networking, build a PC, and some other hardware specific modules, IoT, for example. Now, you do touch on that in the main computer science, but you do more of it on infrastructure. In the computer science course, you've a couple of extra modules around software engineering, but they're similar, but with an element of specialism on infrastructure for the infrastructure one.
Okay, brilliant. The next question was, are there any martial arts? Do you know, this is the second time I've been asked this question. Are there any martial arts clubs at Grangegorman? And Sarah, I saw you answered it, so you know the answer. Do you want to just mention that?
Yeah, they're crazy. They are so active, that club. And I remember during Freshers Week, they always make such a big effort to try and get new people to join. But they're lovely people. And, you know, they even welcome newcomers and stuff. I never got into it, but they were always so insistent trying to get new recruits. They're a really passionate club. So I think you'll enjoy it if that's what you're into.
Brilliant. Okay. Then there's a repeated question. So where are we? Which subjects are prioritized when applying for computer science, and how many CAO points are safe results? We can never answer the question about how many CAO points are safe results, as I'm sure you know. It's a competitive process, and we just simply wouldn't be able to predict what the CAO points would be for a program. But what we would always say is, forget about the CAO points and put down the programs in order of your preference. So whatever program you want to do most, put that down as number 1. And if you get the points, then you'll be offered. And if you don't, it'll go on to number 2. So just make sure you put them down in your order of preference. There can be big changes from year to year. So don't ever not apply for a program because you think you'd never get the points, or because you think maybe the points are too low. Points are not reflective of anything about the program except the number of people who are applying and the number of places. And in terms of the subjects that are prioritized, I'd encourage you just for each of the programs to look at the entry requirements. They're all up on the website, and it will set out precisely what's needed in terms of, say, Leaving Cert mathematics or further ed mathematics and other subjects. Is there a timetable for MLAI year 1? Maybe timetables in general. Do people want to give a sense of where we are with timetables? I'll start with you, Patricia, because the program was specifically about your program.
Yeah, sure. I could see, yeah, the timetable is pretty full in year 1. You'll have a combination of lectures, labs and tutorials. Some modules will have certainly more contact hours than others. Software development in first year would kind of have a high number of contact hours. So it would have 2 hours lectures, 4 hours labs and 1 hour of tutorials. That would be a 7-hour. Okay, your other modules then would tend to be 2 to 3 hours or 2 to 4 hours, split kind of again across lectures and lab work. Yeah, so the timetable, I would say it's pretty full. You know, you're spread across the 5 days. There may be an afternoon where you finish early or something like that, but you'll have 9 o'clock starts and you'll have 4 to 5 p.m. classes as well. Okay, so in terms of scheduling your time and all of the rest, you build in that it is a 9 to 5 kind of timetable is what you're looking at, with some gaps in between. Obviously, there's a lunch break in between. There might be the odd other 1 or 2 hour breaks in between where you could spend that time in the library. There's lots of kind of little areas around where you meet up and maybe do group work or project work or something like that, you know.
Okay, thanks, Patricia. Does anyone else, maybe our students, would you be able to tell us anything about your experience in terms of the timetable and how full it is, or how much space you might have then to do your independent learning?
I'm only my trust today.
Sarah or Marco, I'm not sure if Moses is still with us.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. With the sorry, Lillian, I think you might be off mute. Yeah, sorry. With the general computer science, so the Grangegorman courses, it does vary from semester to semester, but you're kind of looking at about 18 to 21 hours depending. But there is generous gaps in between classes, so you've time to go get food and explore the city a bit and hang out with your friends. But like first year is a bit full on because they do want to get you up to date with foundation level stuff and everything. But it does ease off a bit, and there is enough breaks to keep you sane and everything like that. So it's fairly spaced. But if you want to touch on that, Marco, as well.
Yeah, so I would say it's pretty flexible. It changes every semester. So, you know, every semester you'll have a different timetable. I know some people have even a Friday off. Some people have just the 2 hours on a Friday. And then on the other days, you might start at 9, you might start at 11. So yeah, it's kind of flexible. Every semester changes, but you still have loads of breaks every day. So it's not that heavy. So yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Then there was a question about the QQI entry requirements for the digital forensics program. Christine, I'm not sure, would you know that offhand? But I know there is information, Dylan, isn't that right, up on the TU Dublin website that set out precisely what the QQI entry requirements are?
Yeah, and it's really easy to find. So if you know the code to the course, just type it into our website. It'll bring you to the course page. There'll be a tab called minimum entry requirements. It will have the minimum entry requirements for the Leaving Cert and for QQI routes. So it's really important that if you're going to QQI route to know these minimum entry requirements. They can vary quite a lot. Pretty much rule of thumb is the more specific it is, the harder it is to going to get in through that route. So some will say any level 6 or 5 award. Some will say these are the 3 courses that you could do, and there's a certain subjects that you'll have to get merits in. So please make sure you do a little bit of research into exactly what the minimum entry requirements are if you're going to go down the QQI route.
Yeah, and there was a follow-up question just about whether Leaving Cert and QQI results can be combined. And you will find for some programs, you know, where, for example, there's a maths entry requirement, it will say that you either need Leaving Cert grade X, or you need to have a QQI level 5 in a particular maths module or one of several maths modules. So they can be combined in that way, certainly. If I wanted to get a head start over the next few months before starting a computing program, what would you recommend any topics in particular? Would any of our staff like to take that?
I can come in here. I mean, to get a head start, I suppose the obvious one is probably trying your hand at a bit of programming.
Yeah.
But I mean, like Sarah was saying earlier, you don't need to have programmed before. You don't need a head start because it isn't a requirement that you've done it before. And even though some people in class will have because they might have done computer science, we don't assume that you have. So, but if you'd like to sort of get a feel for it and sort of test out how much you like it and all the rest, you could go onto Coursera or one of those sort of free courses to try out a bit of Python or a bit of Java and just try your hand at doing that kind of level of getting some lines of code together and getting it to run and just getting a feel for it. Or even a bit of, you know, soft web development stuff either. You try out a bit of HTML and CSS and a bit of development, but you don't have to. Yeah, and Head Start, you know, it's not where you need to be at. We'll give you plenty of teaching.
Yeah, and good advice might just be to relax and enjoy the summer before you start,
exactly.
because you're going to be busy once you start. So thanks for that, Susan. Next one, I'm a mature student coming in for level 8 in computing. In terms of points, do I need to write an exam to be able to gain an admission? So Dylan, I might go back to you just in terms of mature students. Once you're over 23, your leaving certificate isn't a factor anymore. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it really doesn't matter. You can choose to include that information if you like. It might help your cause. So anything that can help your cause, you can include, but it actually doesn't necessarily matter. You could have got 600 points in your leaving cert, but if you don't write a good essay and don't show enthusiasm, I don't think it's going to show that you're going to do well in the course necessarily. So it's up to you if you like to include it. It's not necessarily important.
Okay, and then there was also a question about an English language test. So for international students, there is an IELTS requirement. I know, Marco, you told us earlier you were an international student. Do you have anything to say about, you know, studying in English, having grown up with a different language?
Yeah, so it was a bit different for me because I did my leaving cert here in Ireland, so I wasn't required to submit an English test. But I know that, yeah, if you're studying from a different country and then you come into university here in Ireland, you need to have an IELTS, and this is for every university in Ireland. So that's just a basic requirement. But yeah, so,
yeah, but you'll be able to see the entry requirements in terms of language on the program web pages. Dylan, not sure if you have anything further to add about that.
I'm just putting in a link into the chat there about it. There's a number of different tests we take, and if you can get a C1 is what the classification is for in English that test. That is the requirement to get into TU Dublin. With that would be fluent in the language. I know it's a bit strange dealing with different grading systems, but for example, A2 would just be the sort of basic level of understanding of whatever language you're doing, but C1 would be a fluent language speaker. So that's what they're looking for in TU Dublin.
Okay, brilliant. The final few questions. Can I access this meeting later for more clarification? Absolutely. It'll be recorded and it'll be circulated. I think, Dylan, you're going to send it out. Is that right? Or one of your colleagues will send it out later in the week.
Yeah, it's not me.
I know someone told me they would anyway. So that's fine. And then I think the final question was, if I don't know yet exactly which campus I will be studying on as an Erasmus student, in what part of town should I look for an apartment? I think whoever you're dealing with in terms of Erasmus, I would suggest maybe contacting them, because it would obviously be quite important to know which campus you're going to be on before you start looking at accommodation. So I'd say make contact with the school about that. And then the mature student question we dealt with, and that's all of the questions, I think. So unless anyone has anything further to add, I think we can call it to a close there. We have gone 15 minutes over time, so my apologies for that. Absolutely want to thank our 3 students who came along today. You know, it's a very, very busy time of year and you work so hard all year, and you're working particularly hard at the moment because it's the end of year and you've all your assessments to deal with. So thank you so much for coming along and giving us your expertise. Thank you to all my colleagues for presenting. It was really interesting to hear everyone speak about their programs. Thanks to Dylan from admissions for all of your help, and most importantly, thanks to everyone who's come along here, who's thinking about applying for our programs, and we would love to see you on one of our programs. And do look at the full suite of programs that we have across Blanchardstown, Grangegorman and Tallaght, and we'd be delighted to see you here as our students. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Thank you all very much and best of luck for the rest of the summer, or for the summer.
Thanks everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Bye.
See you.
Bye.